My female boss refused to book my flight for a $5 million deal, saying why bring trash? But she had no idea the CEO of the client company was my brother. I just smiled and said, good luck in the meeting, then watched her crash and burn. My name is Mary Walters, and I work in sales for a trade company. I've always been good at what I do. My proposals usually hit different, and I consistently pull in the highest sales. People even call me the ace of the sales department, which honestly feels pretty good. But it wasn't always like that. When I first started fresh out of high school, I made so many mistakes. I hated studying back then, and I tried to wing it, hoping smooth talk would get me by. It didn't. See, growing up, I was always compared to my brother. He was the golden child, acing everything. No matter how hard I tried, I could never catch up. I spent all my free time studying, had tutors, even went to cram school, but I still bombed my SATs. My brother, on the other hand, practically aced his. It felt like I was constantly failing to meet my parents' expectations, and eventually I just gave up on studying. I told myself I'd never need it again once I started working. Boy, was I wrong. Life has a funny way of teaching you lessons, doesn't it? One day, I recommended a product to a customer that was actually perfect for them, even if it wasn't what they initially planned to buy. And seeing that customer's genuine smile, their gratitude for my help, it hit me hard. For the first time, I realized that learning, truly understanding what I was selling, could actually help people. It could make them happy. From that moment on, I dove headfirst into product knowledge, learning everything I possibly could. My sales performance today? That's the result of all that effort. But you know what good results can sometimes bring? Unwanted attention. About 6 months ago, Jade joined our team. Apparently, she was a hotshot salesperson at a rival company, and I was assigned to train her. Nice to meet you, I'm Mary Walters. I'll be in charge of your training, Jade. Feel free to ask me anything, I said, trying to be friendly. Her response? Really? You're my trainer? You seem kind of unreliable. Are you sure this is okay? She looked me up and down, a smug, almost mocking look on her face. Even then I knew I didn't like her. Still, work is work. I took my job seriously, even teaching her about the importance of little things, like including a thank you note with a shipment. Mary, are you really using such an inefficient method? Unbelievable. This product is more popular than that one, so it's better. You should know that just by thinking logically, she'd sneer. Sure, a thank you note takes extra effort and some might toss it, but others appreciate it. And recommending a popular product over what a customer actually needs, that's just bad business. It's about understanding the customer, adapting to their reactions, not just pushing whatever's trendy. I knew my approach worked, so her constant criticism, her outright laughing at my methods, really stung. A month after I started training her, the monthly sales results came out. As usual, I was at the top. Everyone clapped. Everyone praised me. Everyone except Jade. She just stood there, glaring at me, biting her lip in pure frustration. From that day on, her behavior escalated. She'd mock me, calling me a nerd for knowing my products. She even started spreading rumors that I was sleeping my way to sales. Thankfully, no one believed her, but the sheer malice was shocking. What had I done to deserve this? I thought I'd be free of her after her 1-month training period. Boy, was I wrong again. The harassment just kept coming. At first, it was small things. My pen would vanish, sticky notes from my monitor would disappear. I figured I was just misplacing them. But then, all my schedules on the company app? Gone. Deleted. That's when I knew it wasn't just my imagination. Documents I saved in the shared folder would vanish, faxes and mail addressed to me ended up in the shredder, and calls with customers would just abruptly cut off. I had no idea who was doing it. Until one day, a call with a customer suddenly cut out, and I looked around in a panic. And there she was, Jade, smirking, holding the unplugged phone cord. Of course, this messes up work, and it inconveniences the customer. I told her to stop, to just leave me alone. But she just scoffed. Do you have any proof? Proof that I did it? Don't accuse me without evidence. It's really annoying. You're so paranoid. She looked up at me from below, that mean smile plastered on her face. I had seen her unplug the cord, but when it came to actual proof, I was stuck. She laughed. See? You don't have any proof. Just because you have good results doesn't mean you can get cocky. For the trouble you've caused, I hope this will make up for it. Then right in front of me, she reached into my bag, pulled out my wallet, took 2 $20 bills and tossed the wallet back. Thanks for the bonus. If you keep this up, you can accuse me all you want. She laughed, loud and gleeful, and walked away, leaving me absolutely stunned. This was too much. I went to my boss, but without proof, he said there wasn't much he could do. Even if there was proof, he argued, if there wasn't malicious intent, it would just be a mistake. He did talk to Jade, but it clearly wasn't a stern warning, because after that, she resented me even more. From then on, it was almost daily. My schedules deleted, documents gone. I had to redo everything, working more and more overtime just to catch up. My overtime hours more than doubled. To avoid issues with phone calls, I started telling customers to email me for non-urgent matters and to call my personal line for important ones, making up some story about office phone issues. And the mail and faxes? I had to check the shredder bin several times a day. It was a massive waste of time, but losing a customer's trust over a missed message? That would be far worse. Building trust is painstakingly hard. Losing it is instant. Jade just didn't get that. I endured Jade's harassment for 5 long months. But then a few days ago, everything changed. I was chosen as the main contact for a huge potential client, a leading medical device manufacturer. This deal, $1 million. It would not only guarantee my sales target for the quarter, but also put me on the promotion fast track. It was such a big account that I'd get support, and I planned to choose a trusted colleague. But Jade, with her over-the-top enthusiasm, actually volunteered. She talked my boss into assigning her as my support. I thought, it's work. We'll be professional. We'll manage. But she didn't provide any support. Instead, she sneakily sent the client materials for products she preferred, without my knowledge. Thankfully, a colleague discreetly tipped me off. I quickly called the contact person, casually mentioning that I'd sent some additional materials they might find interesting. I briefly explained the differences between what Jade sent and what they actually inquired about, and in doing so, I figured out their real needs. I set up a detailed discussion. Thanks to my colleague, Jade's premature actions didn't blow up in my face. On the appointment day, I presented the products they asked about and, based on our previous conversation, recommended others that were a better fit. I kept asking questions, understanding their unspoken needs, and adjusting my recommendations. That's my usual sales approach, and thankfully, the client appreciated it. They liked the detailed pros and cons, finding the best solution for their company. We narrowed it down to 3 candidates, and they agreed to consult with their higher-ups. 2 days later, the contact person called. They had decided to order one of the products. After discussing quantities and terms, I prepared the quote. The amount? $5 million. Jade's eyes nearly popped out of her head when she heard. Wow, that's a huge deal. I guess they went with the product I sent the materials for, right? Let me see the quote. She smirked and snatched the estimate. Her smile instantly froze as she read it. Of course, it wasn't the product she sent materials for. It wasn't even one of the final 3 candidates. The product she pushed didn't fit their needs at all. It was like they asked for a red vegetable, and she sent them an orange bell pepper. Close, but not what they wanted. Looks like it didn't quite match their needs this time. Jade, could you book our flights? We're scheduled for a direct meeting with the client in 2 weeks. Let's go together. I suggested. She immediately broke into a grin. I actually thought for a second that she had finally calmed down. I felt relieved. But on the day of the meeting, I was left completely stranded at the airport. The meeting was at 1 p.m., a 3-hour trip each way. I planned to meet Jade directly at the airport, an hour before the flight. But when the time came, she wasn't there. I was supposed to get my ticket from her. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I called her repeatedly, but no answer. I started to worry not just about missing the flight, but about her. I rushed to the counter, explained the situation, and asked if I could still board. That's when I found out the shocking truth. My ticket hadn't been reserved. Only Jade's. My face went pale. Called Jade again. After several rings, she finally picked up. Sorry, I was busy with the boarding process and couldn't answer, she said so nonchalantly. I confronted her immediately. Jade, they said there's no reservation under my name for this flight. What's going on? In my panic and anger, I couldn't help but raise my voice. But Jade just laughed. She was clearly enjoying herself. Today is a $5 million deal. Should I bring the trash along? Her words made my mind go completely blank. I could hear her gleeful laughter on the other end. Then the call ended. She had turned off her phone. Impossible to reach her. She had planned this from the start. But there's something Jade didn't know. The CEO of that client company? My brother, Kyle. I put myself on the standby list for the next flight and called him. I had tolerated Jade's petty harassment for months, but this was the final straw. It was time for Jade to face reality. Both the next flight and the one after were fully booked. I was stuck at the airport. Then at exactly 1 p.m. the meeting time, my phone rang. Caller ID, G, came much sooner than I expected. Suppressing a laugh, I answered. Hello? Where are you right now? We're at the airport, I said, letting her know I knew exactly where she was. Jade, you didn't reserve my ticket. Jade was speechless. I could almost hear her grinding her teeth. Just get here quickly. The client CEO says that if you don't come, the deal is off. Her panicked voice echoed through the phone. In the background, I heard a familiar, tense voice. Jade, my brother said. A video call invitation popped up on my phone. Cal must have told her to switch. As planned, I accepted. Jade's pale face appeared on the screen. She looked around, and her face grew even paler when she saw me. The CEO and the manager? Why are both of you with that trash at the airport? I stifled a laugh at her utter confusion. Why were the CEO and manager there? Simple. I had called them. My great-grandfather founded our company, along with many others. He built a huge corporation with businesses in food, fashion, telecom, logistics. My brother, despite growing up in that environment, started his own company, and in 10 years, he's at the top of his industry. As a kid, they called him the reincarnation of our great-grandfather. Now, I finally understood why I could never measure up to him. Back to this morning. After Jade abandoned me, I called my brother, the client CEO, and my uncle, our company's CEO. Of course, I also informed my supervisor and department manager. If the person in charge couldn't attend such an important meeting, it was only natural to report it. I told my uncle before my direct superiors. This was a $5 million deal, a huge transaction for our company. When chaos erupted, my brother just said, "Let's teach the fool who came without the person in charge a lesson." With that, even the CEO and manager decided to join. Calling someone's sister trash is quite disrespectful. My sister, this trash, is the CEO. I heard my brother's displeased voice on the phone. Jade blinked, surprised. My brother glared at her as she kept repeating trash. But Jade, oblivious, actually lit up, becoming even more smug. So you were favoring her because she's your sister, Kyle? That's not good for the company. Look, I've brought a new proposal. This product is much more popular than the one that trash suggested. She started her enthusiastic sales pitch, but my brother's angry voice cut her off. I heard that after making an inquiry, our staff received a brochure for a product that didn't meet our needs. You sent it, didn't you? Our staff was puzzled, thinking the person in charge wouldn't send such a thing. And now I understand why. What? There's no way it didn't meet your needs. This product is really popular. So what? No matter how popular it is, if it's not what we need, it's useless. My sister, the person in charge, patiently worked with us, genuinely understanding our problems and solutions that suited us. She clearly explained both the advantages and disadvantages of the products. We decided to do business with your company because we believed we could have an honest relationship with her. If you plan to replace her with someone like you, who only sees things superficially and pushes popular items without understanding the client, we will cancel this deal. Hearing my brother's angry voice, my heart swelled. I never imagined he thought so highly of my work. Knowing his true feelings just warmed my heart. I deeply apologize. It's my responsibility for not supervising my subordinate properly. Our company has no intention of replacing the person in charge. We sincerely apologize for taking your time today. Could we possibly reschedule? We will ensure that Mary will be there. The manager and company CEO kept apologizing. Jade stood there, stunned and pale, not expecting this outcome. My brother then said he would let it go for the sake of the manager and our company, finally resolving the situation. Jade returned to the office immediately. Just before hanging up, I faintly heard the manager's angry voice, and Jade's gasp. Jade, who was ordered to return immediately, came back to the office after business hours. She entered the sales floor where the Southeast manager and I were waiting. She looked exhausted, her face a mess. But I didn't feel sorry for her. This was her own doing. What is the meaning of this? As soon as Jade returned, the manager angrily confronted her. He looked ready to grab her. "Sir, I was set up. Please believe me." Jade, with tears in her eyes, clung to the manager, pressing her chest against his arm, looking up at him pleadingly. "How?" the manager asked, not entirely displeased. Jade lowered her face sadly, but then gave me a wicked smile. She was plotting something again. The truth is, Mary ordered me to go alone today. I told her she was the person in charge, but she said I was being impertinent for not obeying her. Even though I'm a new hire, she threatened to harass me until I quit if I refused. Is that true? The manager looked back and forth between tearful Jade and me. Of course not. What she said isn't true. I firmly denied it. That's not true. In fact, I've been the one getting harassed by Jade. You're just making things up. You don't have any proof. Show me if you do. Jade repeated the same words she used before, smirking smugly. She probably thought she had me cornered. I smiled sweetly at Jade, who was still grinning wickedly. I do have proof. Jade's voice sounded foolish as she reacted to my words. Ignoring her, I pulled out my phone and opened the latest audio file. It was a recording of my conversation with Jade at the airport this morning. The exchange played, and when it got to the part where Jade said, "Today is a $5 million deal. Should I bring the trash along?" The manager's eyebrows shot up. So it was you, Jade. You're the cause. I never said that. It's fabricated. Oh, really? Then is this also fabricated? I continued playing more audio files, each one containing rude remarks Jade had made to me. Both the manager and the company CEO frowned in displeasure. And that's not all, Jade. You've deleted documents I saved in the shared folder, erased schedules I registered in the department app, and done various other harassments, haven't you? Lying. You don't have any proof. Show me if you do. Jade kept demanding proof, completely unaware that she was tightening her own noose. Don't you know our company's computers require connecting to the internal network to access shared folders and apps? Of course I know that. I'm not stupid like you. Well, that's to track who accessed what, when, and where. So if we check, it'll be clear that you deleted my documents and schedules. What? No one told me that. Jade visibly panicked at my words, her sudden pale complexion making her guilt undeniably clear. What have you done? Forgetting to cover his tracks, the manager shouted angrily. Fear and panic appeared on Jade's face. Oh no, I didn't do anything. Jade continued to claim her innocence. The company CEO was the one who ended the seemingly endless cycle. That's enough. We will conduct a thorough internal investigation on this matter. That's not true. I didn't do anything. Please believe me, sir. If you did nothing wrong, then you have nothing to worry about. In fact, this should prove your innocence. Jade fell silent at the CEO's words. If they investigated, it would be clear she had been harassing me. She wanted to convince the company by any means necessary. But when I say we will investigate, we will. This is final. Jade, you are on suspension until the investigation is complete. Do not come to the office. No way. Jade turned pale. For someone who took pride in her competence and career, this suspension was a severe blow. She tried to sway the manager with smooth talk and even clung to him, but the company didn't change its mind. The next day, despite being ordered to stay home, Jade showed up at the office. However, the supervisor, having been informed by the manager, ordered her to go back home. When the manager arrived and saw Jade, he was furious. He told her that if she didn't stay home, she would be fired, and she left in tears. After that, things were peaceful. It felt like it did before Jade joined, and my work progressed smoothly. I thought the day would end without any more issues, but it didn't go that way. In the evening, the CEO, with a serious expression, summoned me to his office. Wondering what had happened, I went. The manager was also there, looking grim as he stared at the computer screen. The CEO gestured for me to look at the monitor. I was shocked. The screen showed a meeting app with my brother, and Jade on the other end. Mary, she says you sent her to see me. Is that true? What? Why would I send Jade to see you? I had no idea what was going on and was completely confused. My confusion must have shown, because my brother sighed deeply and began to explain. The explanation was a headache. After being sent home that morning, Jade must have realized she was in serious trouble. So she headed straight to the airport. She thought that if she could secure the contract with my brother's company, she would get off the hook. She bypassed their contact person and directly requested a meeting with my brother. Hearing the company name and that a woman was there to see him, my brother assumed it was me coming to apologize, and had her shown to his office. Being led into the CEO's office made Jade think she had a chance. She enthusiastically pitched her product to my brother, despite it being rejected the previous day. Then, as if that wasn't bad enough, when my brother tried to dismiss her, saying there was nothing more to discuss, she clung to his arm, completely misunderstanding the situation. She pressed her chest against him. Jade tried to force the contract. That act finally made my brother furious and he demanded, "Are you mocking me?" He called our CEO to complain. Of course, our CEO couldn't believe that Jade, who had been put on leave, was at my brother's company the very next day. After switching to a video call through a meeting app and confirming that Jade was indeed there, the CEO was enraged. He called in the manager to ask what was going on, but the manager also couldn't understand how the subordinate he sent home that morning ended up at my brother's company. Under intense questioning from 3 people, Jade, caught off guard, Lied that I had ordered her to use her charms to secure the contract. I let out a big sigh. Why did Jade hate me so much? I couldn't think of a reason, but I needed to make my innocence clear. I understand the situation. Those claims are not true. In fact, yesterday it was agreed that he would forgive us this time for Jade's outburst, out of respect for the CEO and manager. Even if an apology visit was necessary, sending the offending person alone to secure the contract is out of the question. Demanding she secure the contract? That's absurd. Doing such a thing offers no benefit to our company, only disadvantages. That's true. However, given the repeated disrespect, I cannot simply let this go. My brother's words made the CEO, manager, and me all nod in agreement. We understood his position completely. Understood. What would you like us to do, President Walters? I addressed him as the CEO, not my brother, to show I understood this was a professional matter. My brother seemed to give a slight smile. Our company cannot continue business with an individual who has repeatedly caused issues, doesn't understand the problem, and shifts blame to others. Such a person is untrustworthy, both professionally and personally. Are you asking us to fire Jade? When I asked for clarification, my brother nodded slightly. Wait, please. Anything but that. Jade, who had been silent, suddenly cut in, realizing she couldn't let this happen. She's audacious enough to try and delegate everything. Her face had turned ashen. I was wrong. I apologize. I won't call you trash or mock you again. I won't delete your files or schedules daily, shred your mail and faxes before you see them, or unplug the phone while you're on a call. Please help me. You too, brother, right? Ask him to forgive me for your family's sake. That's selfish. Please continue. Why did she think I would help her after everything she had done? I felt only disdain, not sympathy. So I responded clearly. No. Even if I convinced him, it wouldn't matter. My brother doesn't have the authority to decide staffing here. The CEO, my uncle, did hold that authority, so perhaps the family plea might work, but I chose not to mention that. On the screen, Jade crumpled to the floor. Seeing her face full of despair gave me a small sense of satisfaction. Jade was picked up by the manager that same day. The CEO decided that she might cause more trouble if left alone, even after being told to go home. The next day, Jade was terminated immediately, even before her probation period ended. It didn't end there. She was also sued for substantial damages by the company. Her harassment caused work disruptions and ruined deals. The contract with my brother's company would now be challenging to secure under the initial terms. Our company would have to make concessions on price and conditions to make up for the trouble. Even the travel expenses Jade incurred to visit my brother's company would be billed to her. Moreover, the CEO was so furious that he intended to ensure Jade wouldn't be hired by any affiliated companies. But that won't be enough. The Vestal Company Group, to which the CEO's company belongs, is a major conglomerate in various sectors, including food, fashion, telecommunications, and logistics. Finding a company in the country with no ties to Vestal would be nearly impossible. Who would want to hire someone disliked by the founder's family? Jade would likely face a tough future, paying off a significant debt without being able to find decent work. As for me, I regained peace in my life after Jade left. Having my work recognized by my brother, whom I had always felt inferior to, boosted my confidence at work. Maybe this newfound confidence was noticeable because a longtime client remarked, "You were always reliable, but lately you seem more assured and dependable." My sales performance improved and I was on track to achieve my best year yet. There were other positive changes as well. For the first time in a long while, I felt like visiting my family. I had avoided going home since starting my job due to my feelings of inadequacy compared to my brother. But this Thanksgiving Day, I felt like it might be nice to spend time with my parents and brother. Recent cases had made me feel that way. Would my family be pleased with my progress? Though my pace was slower than my brother's, I was still moving forward. With a mix of excitement and anxiety, I looked forward to the approaching Thanksgiving Day holiday.